The Olympus OM Zuiko 28mm f2.8 was a latecomer in the Olympus OM system of interchangeable lenses. For quite some time there were two main Zuikos in this focal length, the fast and very expensive 28mm f2 and the much slower and much more affordable 28mm f3.5. In the early 1980s, Olympus decided to introduce a third 28mm lens, and that is the lens that we're discussing today. When this Zuiko was first released on the market in April of 1981, it had a price tag of $94.50. There are two versions of this lens. The first version is recognizable by the letters MC next to Zuiko. That was an indicator that the elements of this lens are multi-coated. The second version of this lens, which is what I have, came out in the late 1980s and no longer had the MC marker on the front since multi-coating became standard practice and it was no longer a unique feature. According to the Olympus OM catalog, the name Zuiko means blissful light and can be found on every Olympus camera lens made since 1936. The word auto, seen here on the front plate, is short for automatic diaphragm, and the letter W next to auto is an indicator that this is a wide-angle lens. The optical design of this Zuiko consists of 6 elements in 6 groups. This lens accepts filters with 49mm diameter. Aperture ranges from f2.8 to f22 with click stops in between. The diaphragm is made of 6 rounded aperture blades. Focus throw is quite short, approximately 90 degrees. On the back, this lens has Olympus OM mount. I use OM to NEX helicoid adapter, which allows me to focus much closer when the adapter is extended, and if I need to reach infinity, I simply rotate it back to its normal position. This lens weighs only 168 grams. The original minimum focusing distance of this Zuiko is 30 centimeters, but when used with a fully extended helicoid adapter, that distance shrinks down to only 13 centimeters. The Olympus OM Zuiko 28mm f2.8 is a really special vintage wide-angle lens. For some odd reason, 28mm lenses are not favored by many, which is why they're often much more affordable compared to the slightly wider 24mm offerings out there. And because of that, you can pick up some amazing 28mm lenses from top-tier manufacturers, such as Olympus, for not a lot of money. And this Zuiko is one such example. For those of you who follow the channel, you know that I'm a big fan of nature and landscape photography, and the 28mm focal length works great for many of the subjects that I choose to photograph. But surprisingly, this lens is also very capable for creating some excellent close-up shots when used with the help of a helicoid adapter like the one I showed you in chapter 1. I was having a lot of fun using this lens as a pseudo wide-angle macro because it's got great sharpness and, to my big surprise, really pleasant bokeh. When shot wide open at closer distances, this Zuiko creates wonderful out-of-focus blur, which I personally find very pleasing. This lens is an excellent performer with a ton of great qualities. When it comes to sharpness, this Zuiko is very sharp even wide open with superb resolution in the central area of the frame and continues to sharpen up as you stop it down, becoming almost perfect by f5.6. By f8, it is simply flawless throughout the entire image. At f11, the resolution across the frame is still excellent, with just a tiny bit of diffraction creeping in, but still a very useful f-stop if you need that extra depth of field. The colors from this lens, as can be expected from a multi-coated Zuiko, are top-notch. They're vivid and rich with beautiful tones and excellent saturation. If you have colorful subjects, this lens will not disappoint. It produces absolutely gorgeous colors, and contrast is also amazing. If you point the Zuiko towards the sun, you will get really nice sun stars, but you will also see some multicolored ghosts, as in this example. But overall flare is very well controlled. There is some vignetting if you're shooting wide open, but by f5.6 that is all gone. Unfortunately, this lens does have some mustache distortion, which becomes more obvious as you get closer to your subject, so if you're into shooting architecture or interiors, this might not be the right lens for you. But for many other subjects, this does not pose any problems, and you don't have to worry about it unless straight lines are an important part of your composition. The build quality of this wide-angle Zuiko is simply incredible. It is made entirely out of metal with great ergonomics and beautiful design. Every part of this lens was made with precision and attention to detail. This lens is also very small and extremely lightweight, making it ideal for travel. Another pleasant surprise from this lens was the lack of chromatic aberrations and overall lack of fringing even in challenging situations. It was really nice to be able to shoot in different lighting conditions and not have to worry about color fringing. I also didn't see any lateral chromatic aberrations, which is an issue that plagues a lot of wide-angle lenses. But this Zuiko performed beautifully and did a great job at controlling these aberrations. So at the end of the day, I really enjoyed using this wide-angle lens. It is super small and super lightweight, and its build quality is some of the best that you're going to get from a vintage 28mm lens. It produces gorgeous colors, and it's very sharp in the center, wide open, becoming perfect across the frame by f8. It produces amazing results when used for close-up photography with the help of a helicoid adapter, and it has no issues with color fringing, which is a really big plus. It is also one of the more affordable vintage wide-angle Zuikos out there. So if you appreciate Zuiko lenses and want an affordable wide-angle lens from their OM system, definitely check out the Olympus OM Zuiko 28mm f2.8. I personally love this little lens. And for those of you who are curious how this lens performs for video, here is a short clip I made with it shot at f11. Last time I announced a giveaway for the Minolta MD-W Rockcore 35mm f2.8, and today is time to pick the lucky winner. So without further ado, the person who will take home this Minolta lens is Tim J. Congratulations, Tim! I hope you'll enjoy this Minolta lens. Special thanks goes out to everyone who entered the giveaway. I really enjoyed reading through all the different comments and finding out your reasons why you love vintage lenses. There were a ton of great answers. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time here at Vintage Optics.